Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Sword and Shield crash course for Iceborne. Now, I realize it's been quite a while since I did my last crash course. That is because pretty much since the Iceborne expansion came out for the PC, I've been playing almost to the exclusion of every other weapon, just Sword and Shield, and I do find this to be the most complex weapon in the game. And I realize that a lot of people are going to call me crazy. You're going to bring up stuff like, oh, Charge Blade guard pointing is way more complex. And in my opinion, it's not. Like, you can feel that way if you want to. I myself play the Charge Blade. I also play Gun Lance, and I don't find those weapons to be nearly as complex as the moveset of the Sword and Shield. And again, I realize this is the beginner-friendly weapon and all of that other jazz, but trust me, when you get going with this weapon, you're gonna see exactly what I mean, because I'm gonna try and give you guys all of the tech that I've been trying out, all of the experiments that I've been doing, some of the stuff that I haven't even mastered yet that I still need to practice on, and you guys will understand where I'm coming from. Hopefully. But anyway, we are going to start things off with the basics. So you got your Sword and Shield, it's sheathed. How do we go about getting started with attacking? So you can draw your weapon by just pressing the triangle button. I'm going to be referring to the button presses as, PlayStation 4 inputs. You should be able to translate these into like right click, left click, depending on whether you're on PC, or just translate it into your Xbox controller. It should be fairly easy. Just look at the layout of a PS4 controller and figure it out from there, okay? But I am going to be referring to all these controls as PS4. So you can draw your weapon with triangle, and then you can start attacking, right? But there's another option, which is if you are moving, if you are running, and you draw your weapon, you're going to do this. Now, this is the advancing slash. Now, I want to make sure that I explain this concept from the get-go, because I want to be able to just refer to it as advancing slash, moving forward, okay? So the advancing slash basically moves you forward slightly and does a slashing attack. You can replicate this after your weapon is unsheathed by pressing triangle and circle. And you can do advancing slash again. So you can do advancing slash from a sheath position, or you can do it from unsheathed position by pressing triangle and circle, okay? Super basic stuff, but basically advancing slash is a bit of a gap closer. It allows you to close a gap into the monster, and it allows you to get started on the different combos that we're going to talk about next. So your most basic combo is the triangle spam combo. So you go and you go up to the monster. This is a 3-input combo, but it does 4 attacks. The last input does 2 attacks, you guys can see, and it includes the shield. Some people don't like this combo because it includes the shield, and a lot of people like to focus on elemental sword and shield. And the thing about using elemental damage is that the shield does not deal elemental damage because it deals impact damage instead. So if you want to focus exclusively on elemental, you might want to transition from this combo by going triangle, triangle, and go straight into circle. And then you'll get more sword slashes, okay? But personally, I don't skip through that. I do the entire combo. This is just to let you guys know. If you want to avoid shield in order to do more elemental damage, that's up to you. Personally, I don't play that way. I just go all out with shields and swords because I like the attack of the shield. But anyway, the basic combo, like I said, is 3 triangle inputs. After you do that, after you get to the animation with the shield there, you can transition into circle inputs, and you get this other combo, which is 3 circle inputs, okay? So, you then can compound these two into this, right? This is like one of your most basic combos. It's not really super important. Don't try to memorize, oh, how many button presses, what's the important parts. Just know that at any point in time, you can pretty much swap the circle. So like you can go triangle, circle, you can go triangle, triangle, and then circle. At any point, you can swap into the circle combo, okay? That's the thing that you might want to know in case you want to do something fancy with this. Now, another important thing about your circle combo is that if you input a direction, like if you press forward, left, right, whatever, and you press circle, it changes. It's now a shield bash combo. This is important because sometimes you might want to get a KO on a monster, like you're trying real hard to get a KO. And since the shield does impact damage, this will help you get that KO, and you can get a 3 attack in with the shield that deals impact damage that helps you get that KO off. And you can compound this into your regular combo by going like, okay, triangle, 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 and then move forward, press circle, and you get that, okay? These are like your most basic type of combos with the SnS, and again, I repeat, I don't think these are that important. I'm just telling you so that you understand the entirety of the moveset of the sword. Now, at the end of the circle combo, you're going to get something, which is if you keep spamming circle, which some of you will, you're going to be like, whoa! back hop in there. Your character leaps back and then goes back forward and attacks. We're not going to get into the back hop just yet. Back hop has a lot of details to it. We're not going to get into that bit just yet. Before we do, we're going to go for a little bit of aerial. Get you guys going with a little bit of what's available to you on the terrain, right? You got this little slope here, which is something that you will have on a lot of situations. Now at the slope, if you do advancing slash on the slope, your character is going to start sliding down. Now the cool thing about this, and this is one of the reasons why I really like sliding with the SnS, is that if you notice, you're going to do 2 attacks right off the bat. So those will hit, those will deal damage, but the cool thing is that if after that you keep spamming triangle, you're going to get an up attack and a down attack. Now both of these attacks deal mounting damage. It's pretty cool. If you're trying to mount a monster, this is one of the really efficient ways of doing it. If he's on the slope, you just go and you spam this. And those 2 last attacks are going to deal mounting damage. There's a high chance that you will mount the monster. There's no other attack that you can really do from a sliding position with the SnS. So, you know, this is your sliding option. Next, there is the jumping off ledges. As you guys know, you can jump off a ledge, then you press triangle, and you get your little jumping slash attack, right? But with the sword and shield, it's actually more effective if you advancing slash off of the ledge. Now guys, remember I told you you can advancing slash from unsheathed by just pressing triangle while having a directional input, or you can press triangle and circle if your weapon is unsheathed. And if you do that, there's another attack that you can get off. You guys notice that that attack was different. And if you then spam triangle, you get 2 more attacks. Both of those attacks deal mounting damage as well, so if you're trying to mount a monster, jumping off of a ledge is one cool way to do it. The other way to do it is sliding down the ledge. With the last 2 attacks, you have mounting damage. There's also the back hop, which again, we'll get into the back hop in just a bit. And then there is another attack that you can do, which is if you advancing slash into one of these mushroom walls, you'll get to do the helm breaker. This is a really cool attack. I can't really show it off properly here, I don't think. I could probably move that thing here, but I'm not going to go through the trouble. Just know that this thing has multiple hits. As it's going down, it goes like, just like carving into the monster. It's really satisfying. Not a lot of people use it because it's not super powerful. Personally, I even use a flight deco on it because I like this attack so much. But it's not for everyone. I understand why, but I still just really like doing it, and I want to make sure that you guys understand what that is about. Now, let's talk about some of the new things that came with Iceborne. One of those things is the Clutch Claw Uppercut, which is currently not super useful on the PC. But when March rolls around with the Stygians and Ogre patch, it's going to be one of the most useful things that you have in the Sword and Shield kit. So you might as well get used to it right now. Basically, if you roll, after you do a roll, you just press X, right, and you roll. After you do a roll, you can press L2, and your character is going to do this. It's going to draw the Clutch Claw, and that is going to actually clutch you onto a monster. So say this is a monster, you roll, and you're clutched on. Now, right now, there's no particular advantage to using this over using your regular Clutch Claw. There's no advantage whatsoever, other than it kind of flows into your movement. So say, for instance, you're dodging a roar in a monster or something, and you want to Clutch Claw afterwards. You dodge, and then you can Clutch Claw. It's not the most accurate thing. As a matter of fact, it's something that I get frustrated with very often, because sometimes, like, I'll be right next to a monster's head, and I'll roll into it, and I'll Clutch Claw, and I'll miss. And it's very frustrating, but trust me, you'll want to get used to it, because once the March patch comes around, what's going to happen is if you clutch onto a monster like this, and then you do your regular attack, it is going to wound instantly. Like I said, this is going to be in March. Right now I'm playing on the PC version. On the console version, you can already do this. On a console version, if you just like roll in there, Clutch Claw, and then attack, this is going to instantly wound the part. On the PC, it still requires you to do 2 attacks in order to wound. But like I said, come March, that's going to be fixed. So get used to using the Chloreukin every now and then. We call it the Chloreukin. It's Eric's fault. I blame Eric's for this, because it looks like, you guys know, it looks like a Street Fighter Shoryuken. So it's Shoryuken, but with a claw. But anyway, that is the Chloreukin, right? So now, let's talk about that back hop that I know a lot of you guys are going to be excited about, right? Okay, so the back hop, basically you can back hop after any attack by pressing back in the direction relative to your character and circle, depending on the movement type that you use. If you use type 2, Actually, I'm not sure what movement type I'm using right now. I think I'm using type 1. Yeah, I'm using type 1. If you use type 2, what's going to happen is you just press back on your controller every time. Otherwise, it's going to be in relation to your position. So for instance, if I wanted to do the back hop from this, I would have to press right on the controller because I have to press back in relation to the position of my character. So back hop like that, I have to press to the right. If you are using type 2, in this back hop, you would just press down on your controller every time because it changes the way the controls work. So just be aware of that. Depending on the type that you're using, it's going to be back towards your character or back towards the camera, depending on, the movement types. But anyway, it should be fairly easy for you to do the back hop. What shouldn't be easy is like, whoa, you just back hop out of thin air. Yeah, you can back hop out of any movement. So like you can be like this and then suddenly press back and circle, do it, right? And you can also do it after a roll. So if you just roll and press circle, you'll do a back hop as well. So either after a movement in your character or after a roll. Now, the thing that you need to understand is that guarding also counts as a movement. And that's what enables you to do the back roll out of nowhere. It's basically you guard, and right before you actually go into a guarding position, you press back and circle, and you get your back hop. Okay, that's back hop tech at that point, right? But anyway, what can you do from the back hop? Well, you can back hop, you can charge all the way, you get the special attack, and then you press triangle again, and that's going to do a sword attack. As you do that sword attack, that right there deals mounting damage, which enables you to mount the monster. If you have an elemental weapon, it will also deal elemental damage, all of that jazz. So this is kind of like an attack that you usually want to do if you want to mount the monster. If you're trying to mount him, this is what you want to do. If you actually want to damage the monster, though, most of the times you want to drop down with your shield. So the difference there is instead of pressing triangle at the end of the attack, like we're doing now, you're going to press circle. And if you press circle instead, sorry, I messed up the back hop there. You press circle instead, you're going to get a shield down. Now that deals impact damage, and usually it deals a little bit more damage than your sword attack, depending on your build. So this will also hit twice in most situations. It's not hitting twice there because there wasn't a hitbox where we were landing. So as you can see, this attack hits twice. So these are two of the things that you can do. The other thing that you can do is you can cancel. So say, for instance, you back hopped, right? You're getting ready to attack the monster. You back hop. But for whatever reason, the monster is doing something that's very dangerous. And you're like, oh, crap, I don't want to actually attack now. What you want to do is you just want to hold back on your controller. So, wait, I messed it up there. So you start your back hop, and then you just keep holding back. Your character cancels it into a rising slash. It doesn't go forward anymore. This is something that I personally still need to practice, which is why I'm telling you guys, there's still a lot of practice for me, despite all of the hours that I've spent playing on the SNS, okay? So there's the back hop cancel right there. Just keep pressing back on your stick and your character just stops, okay? And then finally, the thing that a lot of you are going to want to see, which is the perfect rush. So you can back hop into a perfect rush. The way that works is you don't charge the back hop all the way, and the second you begin the back hop, you spam triangle. That'll get you into the leaping slash, which then goes into the perfect rush combo, okay? Now, the way this is going to work is after you begin this is a 3-input combo. You're going to have to press triangle 3 times, but not in a row. Because if you spam it, you're going to get something like this. Which looks good and all that. It's not powerful at all. Okay, you're really not taking advantage of the damage of this combo if this is the way you're doing it. If you're just spamming triangle, forget about it. Don't even bother doing it. You're better off just doing regular combos, okay? You're better off just going like this. Don't even try doing perfect rush if you're going to spam triangle. So the way the perfect rush works is you have to time the stuff correctly. And usually my visual cue that I had to get used to was whenever one of the arms gets lowered and it seems like the animation is about to stop. That's your cue to input a command. There's also the thing where your character starts glowing. There's also the thing where your controller starts vibrating. So there's a lot of cues, but the cue that I personally use is always the visual cue of when your character's arms are going to go down. So now. it's not always the same timing either, so that's gonna throw you off quite a bit. I remember the first time I tried this in the beta, I was like, dude, I'm never gonna be able to do this. It's impossible. This is bullshit. I fucking hate it. Like, those were my thoughts, and I know that a lot of people feel the same way. But when you get this right, it feels so good. There's still some times that I will fail a specific combo because in the middle of the action, like, you know, it's messy. Like right now, like even now, I just failed one. But like, it gets a little bit messy, and every now and then you will miss. But when you hit the perfect rush consistently, this is just gonna require practice on your part. Like, it feels so good. Like, you get the glowing effect on your character. You get Mind's Eye because your attacks cannot bounce if you actually land the perfect rush hits. And it just feels great. Now, that last hit is actually going to clutch onto the monster, and it's going to throw you off. So ideally, you only want to use that hit if the monster is getting up and is about to move and all of that. Because if the monster is down for the count for a significant amount of time, or is in a paratrap or whatever, you can keep spamming perfect rush. So you can go like, okay, here's one perfect rush, do another attack, roll off, and then go into another perfect rush. Another attack, roll off. So you don't do the final hit. Now, the final hit also deals the most damage, but, you know, if you can keep spamming it like this, you're going to get more DPS overall than if you yeet yourself across the field, because the final hit will throw you way far away from the monster, as you guys will notice as you start doing your perfect rushes. Okay, so perfect rush, back hop sword, back hop shield, back hop canceled. Back hop, one of the most important things for sword and shield. Keep that in mind. The other important thing about back hop is that it also comes with iframes. Unfortunately, I can't show you that on this thing because there's no explosion thingy here. But whenever you do the back hop, this right here, invincibility frames. Sword and shield is the first weapon where I started using evade window. And I would advise you guys to try that out. Give yourself, like, I don't know, 3 evade window or something if you can in your build. And just try it out, because it's a lot easier to dodge with sword and shield than some of the other weapons. Because, like, you even get a lot of natural cancels for dodge with your perfect rush and stuff. Like, oh, I did my perfect rush, the monster's about to do something, dodge out of it, right? So there's a lot of chances for you to explore dodging roars, dodging moves, and dodging almost kind of like Dark Souls to find the sweet spot in the invincibility frames. So I would advise you guys, if you're trying out sword and shield, try using evade window. It is a lot of fun. And this thing right here has more invincibility frames than your normal roll. So you can actually use this to evade a lot of things, including roars. If you even look at like professional speedrunners and shit like that, people that are doing really fast clear times, you'll a lot of times see them position themselves in a way to then use the invincibility frames on this to counterattack the monster. I'm not there yet. I'm not even close to being there yet. But, you know, since that back hop is so important, it's important for you to be able to pull it off in any situation. So you can actually pull off the back hop from an unsheathed weapon by using the technique that I told you guys earlier of holding block and then pressing back and circle. This is something that you want to practice quite a bit because it takes a lot of practice to get it right. Like, I still fail this consistently a lot of times, but this is a very cool technique for you to just jump into a back hop. So you run up to the monster and like maybe, okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to slam it, boom. Instantly into a back hop, into the monster, and bam, dunk him, right? So that's one of the things to keep in mind. You want to practice that one. However, if that one is too hard, because at the start it's gonna take you quite a while to build a muscle memory for that, depending on how good you are. Maybe you're way better than me. Maybe you'll build a muscle memory like that, no problem, right? But if it takes you a little bit to build a muscle memory, what you want to try and do is you want to draw into roll. So because you can also get from you can get to the back hop from the roll, you just roll and spam circling to get into the back hop, right? What you want to try and do is you want to draw by pressing R2 and then roll, and then you can go into back hop, right? So R2, roll, back hop. So that one's a lot easier to do than block into roll into back hop. So if you want to just get started playing the weapon and you want to be able to do this type of, you know, drawing stuff into back hop and whatnot, try doing blocking into roll into back hop. Okay, first, which, like I said, very simple. You just press block X circle. Okay, and remember, you can charge. You don't have to do it like I'm doing here, because you can go straight into a perfect rush. Right, you go for this, then you spam triangle, and then boom, you're into a perfect rush, which is your highest damage dealing move. Actually, I don't know if on PC that is the case yet because Perfect Rush hasn't been buffed, but in March, it's going to be your highest damage dealing move, so that's something that you'll want to do. Now, another cool thing that they've added with Iceborne is the fact that you can Slinger Burst with the sword and shield so long as your weapon is unsheathed. Now, the way you do this is, as you see, I just picked up some bomb pods. If you press L2, you can shoot those bomb pods, right? That's been something that you've always been able to do with the sword and shield. But this is just a regular shot, right? If you then press R3, you can go into Slinger Burst mode. Notice how my character's arm kind of like shifts. It's kind of hard to see because we're a little bit in the dark right now. Let me put us with some light here. Like, you'll notice this right here is with Slinger Burst activated. You can see that your character's arm is more like up. If you go back to normal by pressing R3, this is normal. With this particular weapon, it's easier to see because with this particular armor set that I have, it glows brighter and shit. But ideally, you just want to pay attention to the position of the arm. And you can also look at your tips on the top right-hand side of the screen, and you'll notice that it says Slinger Burst Aim R3. If it says that, you're not in Slinger Burst. Boom. If it then says Aim Slinger with weapon drawn R3, that means you are in Slinger Burst mode. So what is the difference, you guys ask? It's like, who cares about this Slinger Burst situation? Well, Slinger Burst can cause monsters to flinch a lot, which is very, very good. You can get a lot of flinches off depending on whether or not you're using piercing pods, scatter nuts, stuff like that. Like, you're not going to get flinches off with red fruit, right? But if you have a heavy enough ammunition type, you can get the monster to flinch. And that flinch is going to give you an opening, which is very good. You can flinch, and after you flinch the monster, let me go get some more ammo. What ammo type is this? Thorns. After you flinch the monster, right, you can go into a Perfect Rush from that. After a Slinger Burst, if you press triangle, you're going to go into Perfect Rush. So that's another opening for your Perfect Rush. Now, this is going to take practice to learn when you can use this to punish a monster, because a lot of times you'll flinch them and they'll be out of your reach. So it's going to take a lot of practice for you to be able to like actually flinch and then capitalize with the Perfect Rush. But just being able to flinch them is really good. Not to mention unloading a Slinger Burst of Thorn Pods in a monster's face is a surefire way of getting yourself a nice sweet KO for yourself and for your team, which is very, very useful. Okay, so you can do Slinger Burst, and from the Slinger Burst you can go into Perfect Rush, and just like the technique for, you know, drawing your weapon into a roll, you can do this to go straight into Slinger Burst if you are patient enough, which basically means you can do R2, roll L2, R3. I know, I sound like a crazy person. Let's do that again. R2, roll L2, R3, and that gets you into Slinger Burst position. So basically you go from being with your weapon fully sheathed, right? And you go into being ready to do a Slinger Burst into a Perfect Rush. And it is friggin' sweet. It's friggin' sweet. This is probably my favorite weapon right now. I still consider myself to be a Gunlance main because I feel like there's still a lot for me to learn with this weapon. Like, another thing that I learned not even that long ago, this is something that I have not mastered at all, so I'm probably going to fail it quite a few times, is the fact that you can actually back hop in a different direction than the direction that you roll in. Because, like, if you notice, if you roll and you press the thing for back hop, it always goes back and then forward, right? And you can kind of aim it by like, okay, I want to go a little bit more to the right. You can get your character to slightly adjust the direction of the back hop, right? But what I'm talking about is completely changing the direction of the back hop, which is something that I figured out you could do the other day, and I was just like, dude, what the hell? Which is this. We just did like a 90-degree turn from our roll into a back hop. The way that you do that, which I'm not sure if this is intended. This could be another one of those situations where I don't know how many of you guys were around back then, but there was that situation with the bow, where the bow could basically do a 180-degree turn from the piercing shot that they have, the Dragon Piercer. They could do a 180-degree turn by pressing L2 at the very end or whatever it was, right? This feels like one of those situations because the input timing is so friggin' tight. But the way it works is at a certain point in your roll, which is very close to the end but not quite the end, you can input a direction in which you want to hop in, the forward direction that you want to hop in, and it will change the direction of your back hop to that direction. Like I missed it here. I'm gonna try and do a complete 180. Like that. You can just like, you can roll in this direction, then back hop in the exact same direction. But the timing and the tightness of where you have to input that directional is just so insane that I just think that I'm not entirely sure that is intentional. But either way, you can do it, you know, just get some practice in there and try it out for yourself. And in terms of like sets, whether you should go elemental or elementalist, the one thing to keep in mind is the further you go down the elemental path, the less you want to use your shield, because the shield does not take advantage of elemental damage at all. So if you want to do like a full-on elemental build, go for it. Just try to avoid using shield in your combos, which means like, you know, you can't really avoid it in Perfect Rush. Perfect Rush will just do a couple of shield hits here and there, but like for instance, spamming your shield down is not really going to do much for you if you're going full elemental damage, right? Which is why I personally, I like to go for raw. I like to go for more raw, because that way I can use both the sword and the shield, and it's just my personal playstyle. But on some situations, one of the things that I like is having a weapon that does have elemental damage. I think this is like the most optimal case for Sword and Shield, by the way. It's a weapon that has as much raw damage as possible with a little bit of elemental damage on top. So like a weapon like Nergigante's axe, I think is really cool. And I used to do that in a lot of my PC builds. I just swapped to this because I just kind of like this Sword and Shield quite a bit, and it's still very relevant on the PC. Like on the consoles, it's all about Safi nowadays. But yeah, that's the way that I look at it. I really like raw damage, but if you like elemental, it's also a very good elemental weapon. It's one of the, it's potentially the most flexible weapon in the game. It allows you to do so much. You can mount, you can KO, you can use items while you are, because like, not every weapon allows you to use items while you have your weapon sheet. So like for instance, I could just be here with my weapon sheet and I can drop down a bomb by just blocking while I'm doing it, right? I don't have to sheet my weapon. Then again, we also have the fastest sheet in the business, so it's not like it makes that much of a difference. So, you know, it is what it is, but either way, this is Sword and Shield. Hopefully this helped you guys out. I realize it's kind of chaotic and hectic. You might have to go back on the video and rewatch some of the bits. Just keep in mind that one of the most important things for you is to master the back hop. Just figure out when you can do the back hop, when you can get your, wow, that was cool. When you can do the back hop, when you can get your openings in and all that jazz. The highest damage potential will be Perfect Rush. Like I said, I don't know on PC if it is that right now, or if it's the shield bash might be a little bit higher, but you know, it is that. The other thing also is that whenever you get a down on a monster, one of the things that you want to try and do is you want to land the shield bash first, if you can, and then go for the Perfect Rush. Because that is going to build up stagger, and the final hit of the Perfect Rush might be able to get you like a stagger motion on the monster. But that's pretty much as many tips as I can give you. It's completely insane, and I feel like I'm still learning. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section down below. Let me know if you're an SnS main. Let me know how much I messed up. If you have any further tips for the SnS, leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, hit the dislike button. That's what it's there for. Feedback is important. If you usually enjoy my videos, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and I'll see you in the next one.